Back to the studio. I'm just trying to get the Instagram going as well. Here we go. See if we can make it happen. Let's go live. There we go. Hope everybody's having a nice day. It's Tuesday. It's October the 12th, and we're back for another episode of Ask Nick, where we do our weekly Q&A. Things are a little bit of a mess right now. A lot of things happening. Busy. Just back from a great trip to play with Enoch Cohen at the Angra Jazz Festival last week, and so we're back with a little bit of last week we had our announcement of the finalists for Jazz Trombone Day. So if you missed that, go back and watch last week's episode where we announced the finalists for Jazz Trombone Day, which is November the 20th, 2021. I was just saying, we were with Nadia. Hi, Nadia. We're just in the Azores for the Angra Jazz Festival with Enoch Cohen's Tentet, which was very fun last week. So we missed last week, but we're back again to talk all things jazz, trombone, and other related things. So feel free at any time to drop in questions on Instagram, on Facebook, Twitch, wherever you are, YouTube. And I hope that you've been having a good week so far, and I'm looking forward. So before we jump into the questions, I'm going to go ahead and just talk about a few things. One, of course, is the Jazz Trombone Day. It might be backwards, I suppose. It looks forwards right here. But I'm super excited about our Jazz Trombone Day that's happening on November the 20th. We're having some great guest artists. We have two virtual guest artists sponsored by BAC, Best American Craftsman Trombone Company, based in Kansas City. They're bringing two of their artists, Jeffrey Miller, originally from New Orleans, living in New York, and TJ Norris, a former student of mine from Florida State, and he is also now in New Orleans playing with the Dirty Dozen Brass Band, and he also plays bass in a lot of bands, and he's just doing lots and lots of great things. So really excited for him, and really excited that he's able to join us. So I'm glad for that. And it looks like something is happening, and it's lagging pretty bad on YouTube here. Let me just close this, see if we can improve the performance here. But let's see. T. Bojup, hello. Nadia, what's up? Tarno, Sam Rowley, and what's up, Sam? And so going on that, just to keep going with our Con Summer Jazz Trombone Day, we have one of our finalists just joining, Sam Rowley, along with Joseph Giordano, DJ Rice, and Jack Courtwright. We'll all be here on November 20th. It'll be live streamed, and we'll also have in-person event, so we'll be excited to have all of that happening on November 20th. What else is happening? We talked about Con Summer, we just talked about Jeff Miller and TJ Norris. And of course our big name that you should know. You might not know him yet, but you should know this name, or you will know soon. His name is Ido Mushalim. He's from LA. Well, he's from Israel via LA, and now he's just playing with everyone out there and doing amazing work. As a trombonist, he plays with Billy Childs, plays with John Beasley's Monkestra, been doing some stuff with Gordon Goodwin and his band. There's a couple of videos of him playing with Gordon Goodwin on YouTube if you want to check him out. So that's Ido Mushalim, and we're going to be playing some of his music on that day, as well as many other things. So it's going to be a good day on November 20th. What's up, Oz? Saying hello to some people joining us on Instagram, and seeing some people joining here. What's up, Alex? Thanks for joining, Alex. I hope you're well. Feel free to drop in those questions anytime while we're getting started. I'm just kind of doing some housekeeping and announcements and things like that while people are asking their questions. Hey, how are you, man? Thanks for joining from Netherlands. Jan, what's happening, man? I gotta get back there. It's been a minute. 2018, I think, was the last time I was there. What's up? Oh, from Brazil. What's happening? Jorginho Nato, man. He's killing. If you don't know him, he just joined on Instagram. He's killing. Also coming soon is a brand new CD. If you hadn't seen yet, this is the new CD, Out of Focus. And it's a collection of music that kind of came together during the pandemic, just like most people, trying to stay positive, trying to move forward, trying to get things recorded and put it out there into the world. So that's some music that I recorded then, including, it's no original tunes, all tunes that I really love. Some stuff from Ellington and Kenny Garrett, and also Pat Metheny. What else we got? Some standards. So I'm looking forward to that. That's in November. And of course, I can't not say this again. If you're in the Northeast and want to come see my band, we are playing at the Side Door Jazz Club. And that's on October 23rd up there in Old Lyme, Connecticut. So I'm excited to be able to get the band back together. That's Lucas Pino, Miki Yamanaka, Alex Wintz, Dave Barron, Jimmy McBride. We're going to be playing music from a bunch of my records, a bunch of our records. We've made 5 records. And so we'll maybe also play something from the Out of Focus record. What's up, Gilberto? We'll also be playing stuff from Here and Now. We'll be playing stuff from The Chase. We'll be playing stuff from one of the live record Here and Now. No Arrival, sorry, that record. And some of the stuff, of course, from Cast of Characters. So I hope you can join us if you're in the Northeast. If you want to come and hang out at the Side Door, we'd love to see you there. It's a makeup gig from March of 2020. So you know the story there. But I'm looking forward to that. So looking forward to that, getting back to playing some music. It's going to be great. So what do you guys want to talk about today? Feel free to drop in some questions. Otherwise, maybe I'll just talk about some stuff that I've been thinking about. In terms of trombone playing and jazz playing and learning, improvising. Find my coffee. Here's my coffee. All right. So while you people are doing that, maybe let's get the trombone. Where'd the trombone go? Here's the trombone. So, maybe I'll just play something. I'll just have to turn this way down. And of course, we have no sound. All right. Let me see about starting this Instagram back up. This has happened every week for the last several weeks. That the sound just stops working halfway through. Sorry about that. I don't know what just happened. The Instagram just decided to crap the bed, stop working. So I'm going to play something. I'm sorry I interrupted whatever I was playing. I wasn't sure what I was going to play yet. Thank you. If you're on Instagram, thank you for letting me know that the sound wasn't working. But let's go back to playing something, and then we'll jump into the questions, some questions that are coming in here. So here we go. We still got no sound over there. I don't know what's going on. Nice. All right. There were some questions coming in. Hope everybody stuck around. That was a little bit of it. Turned out to be what the heck is the name of it? Take the Coal Train. Sorry, I'm a little spaced out today. All right. Thanks. Okay. Cool. I got to get these questions. I saw this one came in first from one of our finalists, of course. One of our finalists. Jack Courtwright for the Jazz Trombone Day. He asked, "Are there any other characters you didn't get a chance to write music about on your last record?" Yeah, I had a long list, and I didn't get through the whole thing. The record seemed to come together, and I just kind of left it alone. So there were others. That will be unnamed, and then they were all kind of supposed to be archetypes of people anyway, not necessarily directly being about one particular person or another. Although some kind of ended up being that way. Anyways, but let me see here. So Arthur asked how to play fast triplets over 2-5-1 harmony. Well, you just play triplets. So basically, I mean, what you're asking is kind of goes to the root of something that I like to think about in terms of practicing improvisation, which is not only playing, but also using limitations to help you to practice. And so what I mean by that is like, okay, you want to play harmony, practice playing harmony, 2-5 harmony, in this case. So let's take this. I was playing an F, so we'll take 2-5 and F. Right, so that was quarter notes, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. So then you say, okay, well now I'm going to say only use eighth notes. So you say or Whoops, I broke my own rule. I played some other rhythms. Right, so there we go with just eighth notes. So now I'm going to say only fast triplets. So now we're at this tempo, right? D, ba, 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 da. So you got to have practiced your major scales, your bebop scales, your maybe your chromatic scales using triplets, right? So if you play a chromatic scale in triplets, you get a diminished arpeggio. So I don't know if you knew that, but you do. And so if you play a diminished arpeggio in triplets, the diminished, chromatic scale, you get the diminished arpeggio in triplets. So if you play that, plus maybe, you play C Dorian, and then I get, right, so all I played was C Dorian in triplets. And I switched to chromatic. Something like that, where you just kind of decide the rhythm, and then you use the knowledge, the stuff that you already know, and then you plug it in. So you just have to get that under your slide, Okay, cool. Well, I see more people joining. Hello, hello. D major 723. What's up? Trevor, what's up? So hopefully that helps. That's just some stuff about 2/5s. There's another question here. Let me go back. Awesome. Okay, so over here there's a question. I see something about body and soul. I played body and soul last night. Alexander, he says, do you have tips for making ballads more interesting and spicing up dominant chords? I think that the first thing to talk about there is to get rid of the idea that there's some magical scale or magical note that is going to suddenly make it you're spicing it up, or that this is the answer. There's no one thing. It's the understanding of harmony in general that makes you be able to quote unquote spice it up, right? So you can make any note work on any chord as long as you understand the implications of what that note is if you play it on that song. So he's talking about body and soul. So we're in D flat major, right? But the first chord is a 2 chord. So it's E flat minor, boom, and then B flat 7, and then E flat, and then D7. There's a tritone sub, E flat minor, D7 to get to D flat, right? So if we're just dealing with the first couple bars of body and soul, right? So, you can play it a simple way, right? So to recap, I'm playing. Is the chord progression. E flat minor, B flat 7, E flat minor, D7, back to D flat, right? So if you just play maybe the key centers, you might get 1, 2, 3, 4. Right, so it's pretty simple, just playing the key center of D flat, just playing E flat minor, B flat 7, E flat, and then you go to D7, and then to D flat. So if you say, okay, I want to spice it up, well, maybe you want to play tritone triad pairs. So that would be 3, 4. I can't even do it that fast. I gotta go a little slower. So let me play it again. So I'm playing tritone triad pairs on the 5 chord. So on the B flat 7 and on the D7. So that would be 3, 4. So I'm just playing B flat and E, and then A flat and D. There's a million things you could do, but if I'm going to say stay on that same chord progression and play something else, try to play what I just played in context. 3, 4. Right, so I kept going by accident. And then So maybe trying something else would be like just being kind of spelling it out. And they say, okay, I don't want to do that anymore. I want to do diminished. So you just got to kind of think about what you could do and say, okay, now I want to do augmented on those. So 3, 4. Right? There's not that many, not that many things, you know. I always like to talk about or think about kind of like an 80-20 principle, like that 20% of the information gets you 80% through 80% of situations. So when you're talking about, you know, trying to spice up a dominant chord, it's like there's not that much to do, right? There's only so many chord alterations. You can alter the 9th, the 11th, and the 13th. That's it, right? So there's not that many things you can do. There's a lot of things within that, but there's not like an unlimited amount of things. I think the thing that makes the most interesting on a ballad, I know we've gone a while on this question of ballads, spicing it up, but I think that the most interesting things that you can do are more phrasing things. You got to create tension and release. You got to create musical moments within what you're doing to make them interesting. You know, it's not just notes. It's more about how you're playing the notes. It's not about just, oh, it's only this or oh, it's only that. It's all of those things kind of combined. So anyway, there's a couple of things for you, Alexander. All right, so here's a question from Emmanuel. Emmanuel says, I find it difficult to understand the 2-5-1 progression. Is there a way I can approach it with ease? Yeah, there's plenty of ways. There's lots of ways to approach a 2-5-1. And I think to make it simpler, you know, 2-5-1 is the kind of generic term for like, yeah, this is the chord progression in jazz. But really what you need to think about is that most of jazz is only 5-1. Most of music is only 5-1. All music is really about tension and release. And there's so many ways to orchestrate tension and release with notes, with rhythms, with sound. Like there's an unlimited amount of ways, but it boils down to that exact, only that fact. So a 2-5-1 progression is going from 1 probably first, maybe, you know, you establish the key, and then you go to the 2 chord, which is subdominant, meaning it's not the 1 chord, it's not home, but it's also not tension, right? So it's like medium. I like to think of it as like 3 levels, right? So 1 is like tonal, it's in the key, it feels safe, it feels home. Subdominant, which is like 2 or 4, or maybe 6 in some cases, is going to feel not like home, but not like we've really gone anywhere. And then the 5 chord, the dominant chord, is the journey, right? It's that journey, it's the tension that gets us back to the release of the 1 chord again. And so to kind of eliminate as much noise as possible, all you got to think about is just the 5 chord. How am I going to play the 5 chord and resolve it to the 1 chord? That's all it is. So you got, you know, F7 to B flat. You can play a scale, a major scale. You can play a diminished arpeggio. You know, there's a lot of ways to do it, a lot of tools to use, but essentially it's all the same. It's all just going 5-1, 5-1, 5-1. And so a 2-5-1 in a particular key is all just different representations of that key. So if we're talking about B flat major in this case, C minor, F7, and B flat are all made up of the same notes. You're just starting and emphasizing different pitches. So C minor emphasizes C, E flat, and B flat. F7 emphasizes F, A, and E flat. Those are the notes that are defining that sound. And then you get back to B flat, and the important notes are B flat, D, and A. So it's the same 7 notes. There's only 7 notes in a major scale, but it's saying these 3 are the important ones, and the other ones are now passing notes. Right? So C, E flat, B flat, F, A, E flat, B flat, D, A. That's kind of how you would try to break it down. So I hope that makes more sense to you. it's all just one key center. So anytime you see a 2-5-1, you can just play the major scale that goes with all three. That's the first level, you know, that's the base level of understanding what it is. So I hope that helps, Emmanuel. But that's kind of a, you know, a loaded question. You can kind of go on and on and on in all kinds of different directions about that. So I hope that that can get you started at least. I hope that that can get you started. Excellent. Cool. All right, just scrolling back to make sure I didn't miss anyone's questions. I don't think so yet. So we're good there. And let's see. What's up, Chuck? I see Chuck's here. Matt, Robert, Bruno. Excellent. All right, cool. So if you didn't know, this is the new time for the Q&A. We're going to do Tuesdays at 3 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Central. It's when I can squeeze it into my schedule. Oh, that's an easy question, Alexander. Alexander asked a good question. He says, what's my favorite Dexter Gordon album? Day in Copenhagen. Why? Of course, because Slide Hampton is on it. I might be a little biased, but Slide sounds really good on that record. And the arrangements are really good. Check out the arrangement of You Don't Know What Love Is. That one is really, really great. I think. Maybe you disagree, but that's one of my favorites. That's for sure. But yeah, so we'll be back on Tuesdays. I don't think there's anything special other than happening that will disrupt the flow again. But so we'll be here at this time every week. Hopefully we'll get a flow going. Yeah, a regular flow, so that we're not starting from scratch anymore. Oh, I see Alexander likes that one too. It's one of his favorites. Yeah, it's a good record. That's why. Good records, classic records are classic for a reason, you know. But yeah, man, Slide sounds so good on there. I had to do at Juilliard. I had to do a project for ear training class, and I did that solo. This is that You Don't Know What Love Is solo by Slide, and I had to do it in solfege. That was quite an adventure. Let me tell you what, that was an adventure. All right, here's a question from S. Stelmack. Do you know of an idiot's guide to improve that you would suggest? I think I don't have a particular book to recommend if you're talking about jazz harmony or something like that. It's just learning to play the piano and learning how harmony works, you know? Learn how voice leading works. Learn to play chord progressions on the piano. Yeah, for improvisation. The best thing you can do is practice learning from the greats. Learn the vocabulary, right? So transcribe solos. Learn the scales. Learn the modes. Learn the seventh chords. Learn the triads. So I actually approach it in a way where I approach jazz improv. I mean, I teach improv class, you know, and when we do these type of things, and in my lessons and everything, it's like there's all kinds of things that we need to practice, but it's like there's vocabulary, there's tunes, there's like the raw building blocks of jazz, and then there's improvising, right? All of that stuff plays into you as an improviser and you as a soloist. And so you have to do all of those things. So if you don't know your scales, you got to be able to play the scales, and that's major scales, minor scales. So there's 4 parent scales, right? There's major, melodic minor, harmonic major, harmonic minor, right? 4 parent scales. And then we have our synthetic scales, or synthetic scales, so they're not in like a key, like augmented, diminished, whole tone, chromatic, right? There's 4 of those. So 4 parent scales, 4 synthetic scales, and you're going to be there, right? There's all kinds of other scales that people make up, and then there's the modes of each one, right? So for the parent scales, there's 7 modes. The synthetic scales, there's not. There's like 1 chromatic scale, right? There's 2 whole tone scales. There's 3 diminished scales. There's 4 augmented scales, right? You see how that works? So you just have to learn the building blocks, right? Triads, seventh chords, everything that happens within a key. And then you got to learn solos, that's vocabulary, licks, solos, that stuff. Learn tunes. The language is in the tunes, man. Learn bebop tunes and then practice, and then improvise. So take everything and let it spit out the other end. There's no book, man. I don't recommend any book ever. There's books have resources, but all the information is in the doing, not in the reading. I have books, I put out books, but it's not about books, man. It's like about playing. It's about doing. It's good. Learn the building blocks, play along with the records, learn the vocabulary, learn the tunes, and you'll be on your way, man. You'll be on your way. There's no idiot's guide. There's no shortcuts in this music. You got to be able to play your instrument too. So add that to your stack of things, right? Play your instrument so you can actually express all of these tools that we're discussing. So it's okay. I understand what you're talking about. Idiot's guide to improvise. Yeah. There's no such thing, man. You got to just learn solos in the style that you want. And so it's not just for jazz. This same concept applies to if you're learning to play in a funk group or a pop and rock group or a salsa band or free improvisation, modern classical improvisation. You just have to listen so you can understand what the concept is and be able to recreate it on your own. If you don't know what it's supposed to sound like, there's no way for you to ever be able to improvise in that way. Just like if you had never heard the English language being spoken, you'd have a very difficult time communicating in that language, right? Just reading it in a book is not the same as communicating in a language. And that's what jazz is. That's what improvising is to me, is a language. So you got to learn it like you learn a language, right? You imitate just like when you were a baby. You imitate what you're hearing until it sounds like what it's supposed to sound like. And then you can communicate in that language. And so you learn words, which are like triads, seventh chords. And then you learn sentences or phrases, which are phrases, right? Then you learn tunes, which is like memorizing a poem or something, or like learning to say a certain phrase, learning the Pledge of Allegiance or like whatever, something you got to memorize, and then eventually you're free to just converse. You're free to just play. So it works the same way. And that's how I've thought about it for a long time, and how I teach it always. So I hope that helps. Then I got my whole vibe. You can go just do it on your own. You don't need any books. You don't need anything. You just need to learn the language like you would learn Spanish or French or anything else. So hope that helps. Probably is not the answer you wanted because you wanted a book. But there's no book. There's no book for this. There's resources, obviously, but there's no one book. It's everything combined, man. It's all the things. So sorry for a long answer and ranting there for a little while, but what are you going to do? Oh, I see Taylor's here. I see Ed is here. Jacob's here. Hope you guys are doing well. Feel free to drop in any questions you might have as we're moving towards the end of our time here together this week. So what day is today? It's Tuesday the 12th? Yeah. All right, I see some questions on Instagram here. Let's see. Favorite live concert record? Let's see. Favorite live concert record? Well, it's actually two concerts, but it's J.J. Johnson live at the Opera House. And I would normally say J.J. in person, but if you read the liner notes and then learn the story, it's like a dubbed-in fake live concert. So it's not that one. So I would say those live at the Opera House ones. That's in Chicago. There's two on that record that are combined into one. There's two concerts, an LA concert and a Chicago, I think, concert that got kind of combined together into one record. So there you go. Oh, he's got lots of questions, Taylor. Favorite orchestral record that inspired you to compose? I don't know. Hey, Barry. What's up? Favorite orchestral record that inspired you to compose? I don't know that there was one. I wasn't inspired to compose by classical music so much as playing in big band, playing and doing a lot of Duke Ellington's music, and how he would take simple things and find ways to expand them, and then just writing songs. I guess I didn't come at it from like an orchestral classical composition kind of thing. I mean, I'm still trying to read that Rimsky-Korsakov book. Where is it? Up there. Principles of Orchestration. That one. It's still on my shelf. I still have to read it, you know. So I definitely didn't come at it from that side of things. That's for sure. What's up? Elxa KS. Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, I am working on a new record, so I've been composing a lot the last couple of weeks. Probably something I'll do this afternoon as well. I definitely have to do. I'm also prepping for that gig at the 23rd at the Side Door. Some tunes, playing through that set list. But yeah, I'm working on this new record for this Chamber Music America piece that I got this grant for. So trying to put that together. That's for my band as well, the sextet with Lucas and Alex Wintz. And so it's trombone, tenor, bass clarinet, and guitar is the front line. And so working on some pieces for that, compositionally. But I spent, from the time I got the grant or the notification, which they announced it in August, but they told us in June. So pretty much starting from June, I started the first part of what I always recommend people do when they're trying to get into writing music more, composing more, is to just start writing. So in June, I started just write anything, not the piece, you know, just like write stuff to start to get things going and get the creative juices flowing, get the ideas flowing, all of that sort of stuff. And I always try to get into, like, you know, I definitely think of like seasons, you know. It's like right now I'm focusing on the trombone, right now I'm focusing on teaching, right now I'm focusing on composing, right now I'm focusing on performances. You know, I can't do everything at once, you know. So it's kind of like I got to focus on, well, now I'm doing this and now I'm doing this, trying to make time for all those things. So yeah, that's where I'm at. Yemi Arola. Crying. Play for Jacob. As a horn player. Oh, weird. It didn't pop up. It won't show up. That's weird. Anyway, there's a question here from Jacob. He says, as a horn player, how do you work on hearing chords? There we go. Now it's up there. As a horn player, how did you go about training your ears for hearing chords? Good question. So I was never able to do this until I started playing the piano more and starting to be able to hear chords, right? Play chords, hear chords. Play chords, hear chords, right? So that was really helpful for me. But I really had to focus on hearing one thing at a time. So I kind of came around to it through like ear training classes and things like that, trying to be able to identify just ear training stuff for like a theory class. So just like, what kind of chord is this? Like be able to identify major, minor, major 7, minor 7, major 6, like those little things. And so kind of focusing in on one thing at a time. So like when you hear a chord, can you hear the third? You know, is it major or is it minor? There's only two choices, right? Major or minor, the third. In like a, or is it no third and it's a sus chord, right? That's the option. It's also an option that there is no third, or that there's a third and a fourth. And so there's lots of options. But just trying to be able to identify things one at a time. And so if I'm going through trying to figure out something, the chords to something, you know, they'll play through and then I'll pause it and just play and be like, is it the third? So if I know the C is the root, I'll play E natural. Was it E natural? I don't know. Back it up. Play it again. Stop it. Play E natural. Was it E natural? Oh no, it was E flat. You know, and just do one at a time. And I know that probably seems crazy. Like you're just going to do one at a time, but what other way is there to develop your ears other than trying to learn one thing at a time? So if you can identify the thirds, then you can say, all right, now I'm going to focus on sevenths. All right, I got the sevenths down. Now I'm going to focus on ninths and then 11ths. Like there's only one thing that happens with the 11. It's either 11. Yeah, exactly. The process of elimination using theory in your ears. It's natural 11 or it's sharp 11. For the fifths, it's flat or it's sharp. 13 is natural or it's flat. There's only a few things. When I realized like, oh, it's only a couple of things, right? There's combinations, but there's only a couple of things to identify with each chord member, right? So the more important to me is hearing the root motion. If you can hear the root motion, you can guess what it is. If you hear ba, 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 it's probably 2, 5, 1, minor, dominant, major, or a minor 2, 5, right? So you can plug and play, you know, with some of that. A question from Luis. He says, I wonder why more trombonists approach the horn similar to some of Miles Davis' tunes, longer, more melodic lines and less notes. Well, I think the natural limitations of the trombone kind of force you to play tunes with less notes sometimes and try to focus on making more music and less worried about playing, fast and stuff like that. You don't have to always play fast, you can really kind of focus on playing more intentionally, because we can't just go right. So we kind of have to be a little bit more choosy, and the trombone is also kind of more of a vocal instrument with the slide and everything, and you can kind of do it more like you would talk, at least that's how I think about it. From Philip, do you have a favorite solo on Moment's Notice that's good to transcribe on trombone? Yes. I still think, Curtis's solo, people sometimes dog on it, but I still think like, hey man, you try to sight read that, and then you come back to me and tell me how well you did. Curtis had to play that at the session. So I still think that Curtis's is cool. Curtis, when he did a master class for us at Juilliard, he told us to transcribe train solo. And so we played, that's what we did. He came in, brought this thing, and we just practiced train solo on Moment's Notice. So that's what Curtis said to do. So I would say that that's a good suggestion. But Isaac, what's the cast name? Isaac. There's a SF Jazz octet recording of Moment's Notice. And I thought it was Andre Hayward at first, but then Andre was like, no, that's not me. It's Isaac, a West Coast cat. Isaac. But if you look up SF Jazz, Moment's Notice, you'll find this recording. It's a great trombone solo on there, for sure. And then look up the personnel from that time, because it was towards the beginning of the SF Jazz Collective. Excuse me. It's like maybe their second record. Mr. Cartoonster, one thing that helps is playing the chord on the piano and singing the chord. Even if you can't sing well, sing it and you'll get it in your ear. That's great advice. That's true. Singing is everything, man. Getting it inside you. What's up, Alex? What's up, Sarah? From Jacob, question here. Have you ever transcribed away from any instrument? If so, did you find it helpful? I always transcribe with my instrument, man. I know plenty of people that can do it without. It's not super... it's hard for me, man, but there's some people that can do it. It's going to be good for your ears to try to hear the intervals and do it away from your instrument, so I think anyone that can do it does find it helpful. So if you can, you should. If it's trombone, I can do it because I can hear the note. I know what the notes are, right? You just know, because you're like, oh, that's that frequency, that's this pitch. Isaac Smith, that's the name. Philip, yeah, there you go. But yeah, so for me, I've never really done it that much, but you can. And it's definitely good for you to transcribe away from your horn or the piano. 90%, I think at least, 80 to 90% of a transcription is knowing what the next phrase is. So knowing what it's going to sound like and having it memorized, basically, internalized, not even memorized, but internalized, like just remembering what phrase comes next is most of the battle, which is totally a mental battle, it means you can just sing it. You don't have to be at your instrument to practice a transcription all the time. And sometimes you don't have time to be at your instrument or whatever. So it's just a learning process, one thing at a time. One thing at a time. Hope that helps, man. But it can be super helpful. All right, let's see what I missed here. All right, we got those. Instagram, we're caught up here. Isaac Smith, that's it. Sorry, Isaac, if you see this video. I didn't mean to forget your name, man. But he's great. That's a great solo, man. Oh, now I'm thinking about it. Now I'm going to have to go back and listen to it. Maybe I'll have to transcribe it. I assigned it to a student. I think it was last year we worked on it. So, yeah, it was killing. Really great. What's up, Vitala? All right, I'll give people one more minute. I got about 5 minutes till I got something else, the next thing for the day. But if anybody has any last minute questions, feel free to drop them in. Otherwise, we'll be back next week at this time to talk more jazz, talk more trombone, play some, talk some, play some, just hang out. One more time, I'm going to give a shout out for our Jazz Trombone Day. We've got our nice little posters, some flyers going out soon. November the 20th will be streamed. So wherever you are, no excuses, man. No excuses. You want to see and hear what's really going on in the world of jazz trombone. That's the day for it. Augustine Afero, how do you think / build improvisations from the rhythmic side to make it more interesting? Man, it's all rhythms. That's why. We get obsessed with Alex. Yeah, Jazz Trombone Day is November 20th, and yes, it's in person. It's also streaming. Sorry, back to Augustina's question here. Improvisations from the rhythmic side. Everything is about the rhythm. It's all about the rhythm. If you don't have good jazz rhythm, it doesn't sound like jazz. It sounds just like notes, right? So some things we do to kind of hone in on that is transcribe drum solos and put notes to them. Yeah, transcribe Philly Joe, man. Transcribe the rhythms. Take the rhythms of a bebop head and rearrange them so you've got the right rhythmic framework, and you can kind of apply different notes to it, because it's not about the notes. Notes is obviously part of that language, but the rhythm is what defines it. That's what defines the rhythm of different styles of music too. Because if I go and I play a salsa gig and then they're playing, like a clave or like a rumba clave, and I'm like, it doesn't really sound like the music, And if you got a funk backbeat James Brown vibe and you're playing like triplety and all this turns and stuff, it doesn't sound like that music. So the rhythm is the essence of it. So I build a solo from the rhythm, not from the notes, Whoa, Jimmy O'Connell, what's up, man? It's all about the rhythm. So if you haven't been thinking about the rhythm and you're obsessed with the notes, maybe you want to switch and just think about rhythm first. Because you can always fix the notes. But if the rhythm's not happening, then it's all not happening. It doesn't matter what cool notes you play. Whether the notes are in the chord or out of the chord, doesn't matter. You gotta focus on that rhythm. That's what I think. And I think I'll leave it there for today. Rhythm, 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 rhythm. Focus on the rhythm. Awesome. All right. Thanks again for being here today, October 12th. We'll be back next week with more hanging out. So I'll catch you guys all soon. See you later.